Good evening. So I am tasked today to take all of you, our stakeholders, through this valuable strategic acquisition where legacy meets vision and how this acquisition is going to reshape JAT. We like to call it repaint JAT in the next 2 to 2.5 years. The vision of JAT has taken us to be in 6 countries in the South Asian region, of which 3 we are the leader. The same vision and long-sightedness took us to be from a family-owned company to a listed company and go for IPO. And one promise of that IPO was to invest in a state-of-the-art R&D facility. This R&D facility has enabled us to innovate, to develop new products at an unbelievable speed and unbelievable precision. We were the first company in South Asia to develop a water-based wood coating binder. For the first time, not only in South Asia, in the entire world, there are only 4 companies who have developed this. So that was propelled by our vision, the R&D, and also the bold move to backward vertical integrate. So we not only developed the binder, we in fact invested in a binder plant in Sri Lanka. And for those not in the industry, the water-based acrylic binder is the main raw material for water-based wood coatings. So not only do we manufacture the water-based paint, we manufacture the binder as well. Thereafter, we moved to Bangladesh, where we have our manufacturing plants. And there also, where is a solvent-based market, we backward vertically integrated. We developed from our R&D the alkyd resin, and now we have the main raw material manufactured in Bangladesh for the solvent-based wood coatings as well. In Sri Lanka, we have a staggering 56% or 58% now. We increased 2% in the last quarter of market share in water-based wood coatings. And we have conquered the retail sector in Sri Lanka with over 5,000 shops. And interestingly, JAT Holdings has the highest conversion of solvent-based wood coatings to water-based wood coatings in the world. So like we are moving into a foreign territory, JAT already has some records which can be considered world records. On top of that, JAT has the expertise in emerging markets. But like most great companies, in the last 30 years, there are some barriers which we have been not able to conquer. We were unable to penetrate India for the longest time. And JAT as a company could not infiltrate the developed markets such as Malaysia, Europe, and also USA. Now what I'm trying to tell you is this strategic acquisition of getting a legacy, where I said legacy makes vision, how would that help us together to conquer these barriers? Right? Mirotone is a 90-year-old brand that came out of Australia, a developed country. And not only it's 90 years, it did, like Elian said, $60 million US, which is the current turnover of JAT, about 15 years ago. So they come with a track record. It's a massive company, unfortunately mismanaged. And I like to say that JAT is well managed. So with all of this, how can this legacy brand help us here? So the 90-year-old brand legacy, a loyal industrial customer base. I was in New Zealand about 2 months ago, and not one of those New Zealand industrial customers have shifted from the Mirotone brand, even when Australia was crashing, right? They swear by the product quality, they swear by the service, and they swear by the company. So, incidentally, New Zealand Mirotone has 60% market share in the industry, and they are the market leader in the wood coating segment in New Zealand. Now, all of this coupled together and the long-standing professional expertise in developed markets can help us to conquer these two barriers. How? If you take in the Indian market, when a Sri Lankan company goes, there is a certain perceived or a perception on a Sri Lankan company. When we were trying to sort of go to Europe or some of the Southeast Asian developed countries, again this barrier was there, right? The so-called perception of a Sri Lankan company. So while we represent Sealac, right, and it's Italian brand, sometimes the cost to ship goods from Italy to India also was a problem. But now we have a solution. We have a synergy. We have a 90-year-old Australian brand, a brand that is proven in a developed country. And we have the expertise of a developed country, operating in a developed country and being number one in a developed country. Of course, there are certain opportunities also in Mirotone, Australia, where the synergy of JAT can help along with this. So the relaunch in Australia, this would be one of the most interesting things that happen or that is going to happen in JAT in the next 3 to 6 months. Because for 90 years, they have been a proven player in Australia and they have a top of the mind recall in Australia. So it's a matter of time where a better managed company with better financial resources launch this legacy back into Australia. This gold can that you see is a household name in Australia, right? So we are the proud custodian who is going to launch it. Another great opportunity that we see is in the New Zealand market, most of the houses are of timber, the exterior. And Mirotone has taken a strategic decision not to do exterior coatings and not to do a lot of water-based coatings. But JAT Holdings is the king of water-based. JAT Holdings has converted the solvent-based market to the highest percentage of water-based in the world. Now this synergy, coupled with the Mirotone brand in New Zealand, is going to be huge. That market that you see, the exterior wood coating market, is as big as the total industrial market in New Zealand. So that great opportunity awaits us, and with our R&D and all the product innovation, market penetration in Australia and in New Zealand will also happen. So when you look at the numbers, right, since most of you are in the stockbrokering community and numbers matter, at the moment, New Zealand Mirotone or Mirotone New Zealand is doing 7.9 million. In 27-28, we are confident that we can bring it up to 23.1 million, which is about a 3-fold growth. How are we doing it? 8 million revenue coming in from the relaunch in Australia. Product innovation would bring us 2.7 million. And the retail sector would bring us 3.1 million. And expanding into the neighboring geographies such as Fiji and the Samoa Islands would get us another 0.3 million. And the expected organic growth of 1.1 million. New Zealand at the moment is a sort of a depressed economy. So this organic growth is quite on a conservative basis, right? It's only uphill from here. They have a 42% gross profit. I mean, that's a great number. But we are confident that we can bring it to 59%. Centralized manufacturing and sourcing. We have plants in Bangladesh, we have plants in Sri Lanka, now we have a plant in New Zealand. If we can consolidate our production, certain products in certain market segments, we are confident that we can improve the GP. Economics of scale coming in, centralized procurement would increase that GP, and of course, the bold move of backward vertical integration and R&D, where we can supply our binders and we can supply our alkyd resins to this market, can increase this to a staggering 59%. The profit after tax is 3%. We are confident we can bring it to 16%, of course, When the GP increases to a certain 59%, that would trickle down to 16%. Capturing synergies through centralized R&D and support services would definitely help us into reaching this, and of course reduce cost of capital, because we are a much stronger financial institute at the moment. The absolute profitability would increase in 2.5 years by 15 times, right? So it's just a matter of bringing these synergies together and sticking to our plan, and that 15 times would come into Mirotone. So exciting times for JAT. But how will this landscape of JAT change in the next 2.5 years? So at the moment, JAT has 30% of its total revenue coming in from international markets. We have a top line of 12 billion and a bottom line of 1.8 billion, and 40% of our total revenue comes from our own products, own brands. At the moment, we are number one in Maldives, we are number one in Bangladesh, we are number one in Sri Lanka, and Kenya and the African region is one of our biggest emerging markets. Of course, the state-of-the-art R&D facility and strong backward vertical integration is the backbone of JAT. Once Mirotone comes in, we would be number one in New Zealand as well. So in our global presence, now we have 4 countries which we are number one, and Australia would be a game-changing market for JAT, right? That potential of an Australian relaunch, bringing in a legacy brand and doing what we do best, I feel that we can actually develop the Australian market even more than what Mirotone did it. So that would be a game changer there. And with that, in 2.5 years' time, we would have 50% of our total turnover increasing from 30% to 50% from international markets. Our top line would double to 106%. The bottom line would increase by 71%, and we would have 70% of our revenue coming in from our own brands. Now, you might think that these numbers are quite steep, but this is on a conservative basis, right? Why is it on a conservative basis? It's because of this. I have not factored in India, right? The dark horse of JAT always, and one of the biggest markets. With the diversified professional workforce, with the 90-year-old brand, with formulas for UV, PU, for the Oceania region, with our state-of-the-art R&D facility, with the binder plants, we can conquer India. We can move into Southeast Asia, where Mirotone is already present. With that brand, countries like South Korea, Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, that also adds into our portfolio with Mirotone. And none of these are in this number. We can go with this international brand or to Europe, North America, or South America. Right? Mirotone has a certain presence in South America as well. So at the moment, JAT is present in 2 continents. In 28 or 27, 28, we will be present in 5 continents. We will be present in Asia, we'll be present in Africa, we'll be present in Australia, and 2 of the 3, North America, South America, or Europe. At the moment, we are present in 8 countries. Fast forward to 2027, 28, minimum we would be present in 20 countries. So, ladies and gentlemen, JAT is on its way to being a true Sri Lankan multinational company. Thank you.